So hello all. I think we are ready to go. Topic for the day is cranial nerves, and I would like to see some faces. You know, all of you are you have just switched off your cameras and you're just listening, or you're trying to just see what is going on. So I would like to have some interactions. You can switch on your cameras. Yeah, I'm not going to ask any questions. Don't worry about it. But at least I can see some people so that I can make sure that you guys are following. Okay. So yes, Monica, Alice, and others. And you guys, whenever you want to say something, you can comment in the chat box. Okay. So you can use the chat box to message, and if any doubts is there, just keep it. We can ask at the end of the session, so that let everything go in a continuous, smooth manner. Okay. So very warm good evening to all. So it is one of our free webinar sessions, which is meant to be an orientation towards your NEET preparation. So guys, and the dates have been announced. Hope all of you know that the dates are now 19th December 2021. So you have around 4 months. So today is 27, right? So you have nearly around 124 days, 125 days, something like that. No, I think more than that. So you have around 140 days, I believe. So there is enough time for you to study what is required properly. Okay. People who are starting now. So this especially goes out to the people who are just starting now. You have enough time to study whatever is required. And people who have been continuing or who have started earlier and now they are into their revision phase, you have excellent time. You have already completed some of the topics. Now only few is left. Don't lose your pace. Go straight. Go in a fast manner now. And people who are starting, see, don't have a second thought. Do properly. 4 months is enough to get you a good rank. Get you a very good rank. And the good rank depends all on how your preparation is. Do that very well. So I will move to the topic now. So what my plan is, I'll just talk about few cranial nerves, which is very important to us. I'll be talking about all the 12 cranial nerves, and I'll be talking about few cranial nerves, which is very important to us. Okay. So we all know that there are certain cranial nerves. Cranial nerves means nerves from the cranium. So there are a pair of cranial nerves. So it is the left. So you can see here. If at all anything is not clear, you can just message. Okay, if my video is not clear or audio is not clear, just message in the chat box. Okay. So cranial nerves, you can see from top. Yeah, I hope you can see my pointer here. So first, the cranial nerve 1 is olfactory nerve. The second cranial nerve is optic. Third, oculomotor. Fourth, trochlear. 5, trigeminal. 6th is abducens. 7th is facial. 8th is vestibulocochlear. 9th is glossopharyngeal. 10th again is vagus. 12 is accessory, and 11 is accessory, and 12 is hypoglossal. So these are the names which you will be or you should be remembering, and you should also remember which number or which particular cranial nerve is this. Okay, but that is not asked in the questions, or that is never asked in the questions. Which is the 8th cranial nerve? Nobody asked that. Nobody asked which cranial nerve is. What is the number of cranial nerve? Nobody asked that. But what they do ask is through which foramen does the cranial nerve exit, the branches of that particular cranial nerve, from where it is originated. So all those things are asked. So knowing the name is very important in that aspect. You know, when they ask you where does the 7th cranial nerve originate, you cannot just simply, if you don't know it is facial nerve, you cannot simply imagine which nerve is it, where it is going to originate. So you should know the numbers and names for making yourself properly oriented towards what questions they may ask. Okay, no direct question will come like which nerve is 7th nerve or which nerve is 8th nerve. Okay, but you should know it thoroughly for the other questions, or for questions which are covered in a bit more detail. Okay, so now I will start with this part. Okay, now this is the base of skull. Okay, when you look from above. Okay, norma verticalis view, but you have cut open the skull, you have cut open the calvarium. Now you have removed the brain, and now you are seeing this. Okay, so listen to me properly. I can divide this entire thing into 3 parts. Okay, there is a fossa here, which I call as anterior cranial fossa. Okay, this area. So fossa is not a depression. So a depression here, which I call as anterior cranial fossa. Now there's a depression in this region. There are depressions, which I collectively call it as middle cranial fossa. And in the last you have one big depression, which I call as the posterior cranial fossa. So in effect, I am dividing the interior part of skull into anterior, middle, and posterior. So studying anterior is very easy. So whatever is in front of, is in blue color in front of you is part of frontal bone. This area, okay? This part, which is on the roof of orbit. That's what you are seeing. This is the roof of orbit. Okay, this is the roof of orbit. Matlab, the part of orbital cavity which is above your eyeball. Okay, that is roof of orbit, and center you can see a purple colored thing that is called ethmoid bone. Okay, so I'll tell you where ethmoid bone exactly is. So I remove my nasal bones from here, then inside I find ethmoid bone, and ethmoid has a part which forms the roof of my nose. Okay, my nose, when I breathe, the air is going to hit the ethmoid, and there's a part of ethmoid which communicates with the anterior cranial fossa, or which forms the anterior cranial fossa. Okay, so anterior cranial fossa is very easy, frontal ethmoid, and part of sphenoid. The posterior area, it's a part of sphenoid also is considered to be part of anterior cranial fossa. So posteriorly the sphenoid bone, anteriorly the frontal, and middle you have the ethmoid. This is all about anterior cranial fossa. So you have done anterior cranial fossa. I'll talk about it later on. Now let's go to posterior cranial fossa. Now there is a light brown colored structure, which is nothing but the occipital bone. The bone just behind your skull, the back of skull. So the occipital bone forms the major bone of posterior cranial fossa. Now you have a big foramen here, very big foramen, and it is named also similarly, foramen magnum, magnanimous, big. Okay, it is the biggest foramen and in the cranial cavity, and it is within the occipital bone. Okay, so that is the major structure which you see in this. So you have occipital bone, you have the foramen magnum. Now there is a green colored bone which comes from anterior to posterior. See both sides. It is nothing but the parietal bone. See this part is the parietal bone, and one side of the parietal bone forms the border of this lateral border of middle and posterior cranial fossa. Okay, and also this particular part, this is part of your sphenoid bone. Sorry, your temporal bone. This part of your temporal bone, part of this temporal bone also is involved in posterior cranial fossa. Now, our concern is not learning, at least for today's class, our concern is not learning this fossa, not learning the bones and all that. I'm just telling you for you to get an orientation, okay, about these structures in and around, okay. So, our concern is through which, is there any problem with my net or on your side? Is there any issue? Can you guys just show a thumbs up or just type? Is there any issue, Monica? No worries. Video stack net problem is there. Your voice is breaking. Is it clear now? Okay, chalo. So we were talking about now our concern is to learn through which foramens and through which part the cranial nerves are going to exit. Okay, so the first thing is your your olfactory nerve. Olfactory nerve is the nerve which goes to the nose, or it is the one which is responsible for your sensory perception. Okay, so that goes out through your cribriform plate in the ethmoid bone. This area, there are multiple nerve endings which goes out, and that is how your olfactory nerve is going to go out. Okay, so anterior cranial fossa, only one nerve goes out. That's all. Okay, come to posterior cranial fossa now. Now there is a foramen magnum here, and there is a foramen, or there is a foramen which is like J-shaped foramen. It is called jugular foramen. Okay, this on either sides are known as jugular foramen. There is a small canal here which is called as hypoglossal canal, and there is another canal which is known as internal acoustic meatus. So these are the structures in your posterior cranial fossa. So I'll tell you what all goes through this. So your internal acoustic meatus, 7th and 8th cranial nerve goes. 7th and 8th cranial nerve goes. I'll tell about it. What is it? Okay. In your jugular foramen, 9, 10, and 11 goes. Okay. And your hypoglossal canal, 12 is going to go. So I'll just share a screen and I'll talk about it. Okay. So what did we see? We saw, or we talked about internal acoustic meatus, isn't it? So this is a canal which is going to lead into the internal part of the ear, and you have two nerves which goes through it. One is your 7th. So all of you, do you know what is 7th cranial nerve? Very important nerve, and with that nerve only I am making these expressions. Can you tell me? 7. Yes, facial. Very good. So facial nerve, from the cranial cavity, it goes into the internal acoustic meatus. So it comes out through a different thing, and that we'll talk later. Then along with it, another one is 8. 8. So which is the 8th cranial nerve? So you all are listening to me using that nerve. Yes, vestibulocochlear nerve. So that nerve has 2 main functions. One is it carries the sensory, the sense. And another function is it is helping you to balance. Okay. So vestibulocochlear nerve supplies the vestibulocochlear apparatus, which is involved in balancing of the body as well as, listening to or hearing. Okay. So internal acoustic meatus is there in the posterior cranial fossa, and then next structure what you saw was jugular foramen. Okay. So today I will talk only about the cranial nerves which are going to come out through jugular foramen. So what did I say? 9, 10, 11. 3 cranial nerves come out through jugular foramen, isn't it? So what are these 3? What is 9th cranial nerve? Anyone? 9th cranial nerve? So 10th cranial nerve. Anyone? I mean, all of you will know 10th cranial nerve. Yeah. Which is 10? I can see a lot of answer now. Yeah. Vagus. Okay. So people always remember 1, 5, 10 at least. Okay. 1 is olfactory. 5 is which one? Trigeminal. 10 is vagus. Okay. So remember that. Then you can correlate with what is there, what is not there. Okay. So vagus you should always remember. Yeah. So why I'm telling you to do that? 1 or 2, if you remember properly, from there you can try to recollect the other nerves. Okay. So confusion is, or you can avoid confusion. Okay. So 10 always remember vagus. Now 9 is glossopharyngeal, and 11 is spinal accessory or accessory is spinal and cranial part, which I'll talk later. So jugular foramen has 3 of them. So always remember the name: glossopharyngeal, vagus, and accessory. Okay, easiest of these. Hypoglossal canal. What goes through hypoglossal canal? What goes through hypoglossal canal? You want any more clue? You want any more clue? No. Yeah, hypoglossal itself, isn't it? So that is the easiest of them. So nobody will ask this. Why? Nobody will ask this because they know that the question and answer is same. So nobody is going to ask you about through which foramen the 12th cranial nerve is going to go out, isn't it? But they can ask you about jugular foramen. They can ask you about internal acoustic meatus. Okay. So I'll just go back to that picture. So what all we completed now? We completed cranial nerve 1, olfactory, isn't it? Cranial nerve 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So including the 1, it is like 5, and 2, it is 7. We completed 7 cranial nerves now, through which all foramens, these 7 cranial nerves are going to come out. We just discussed that. Okay. Now it is end of your anterior cranial fossa and posterior cranial fossa. Okay. One extra point was that your foramen magnum, the part of your accessory nerve, comes out to foramen magnum. Okay. Part comes out through jugular foramen and part comes out through foramen magnum. Okay. So we completed, the relevant topic from the cranial fossas, anterior and posterior, related to cranial nerves. Okay. So there is a lot more to study, but cranial nerves is over. Okay. So now we go to the middle cranial fossa. So middle cranial fossa, if you study that sphenoid bone, middle cranial fossa is completely over. Just have a look at it. All the foramens are there on that yellow colored bone, which is sphenoid. Okay. So studying middle cranial fossa covers the major nerves, which is going to come out in the face, and it is also going to teach you, or make you learn the anatomy of sphenoid and those things which are very relevant from a dentist point, or from a dental point of view. Okay, because the trigeminal nerve, the nerves, the eyeball, everything comes out through this sphenoid bone. Okay, so middle cranial fossa is dominated by sphenoid. Okay, so I'll talk about sphenoid now. So have a look at the sphenoid. So it has a wing. So it looks like a wing. Hope you can see my cursor. Can you see the cursor going? Monica, can you see it? Yes. So so you can see this is the lesser wing of sphenoid, and now you can see a big wing. So a big wing, which is known as greater wing of sphenoid. Okay, and the central part is called as body of sphenoid. Okay, I'm not teaching you sphenoid now, but just for an orientation, I'm telling you. Okay, so you have a lesser wing, you have a greater wing. Now you have a body. Okay, that much is there, or that much is the anatomy which you need now. Okay, so now I will take you to this area. What is this area? Anyone, can you say? It is a fissure. I'll give you a clue. It is a fissure. It is some fissure. Okay, so can you say, or can you guess? Okay, I'll give you another clue. It is an orbital fissure. Now, can you guess? Yes, it is superior orbital fissure. Okay, now superior orbital fissure is just a place between two bones through which many structures go in and out. Okay, so you have a superior and you have an inferior orbital fissure. Superior orbital fissure is part of, or is formed by the the area where the lesser wing and greater wing of sphenoid is going to meet. So a superior orbital fissure is formed by lesser wing and greater wing of sphenoid. So the area between greater and lesser wing of sphenoid, you can see in the picture. Okay, so you have a superior orbital fissure. Now, can you see this foramen? This foramen is a foramen which opens anteriorly. Okay, it doesn't open downwards, it opens anteriorly. I'll keep on giving the clues. When you get to know about it, you can comment in the chat box. So it is a foramen which opens anteriorly into pterygopalatine fissure, or pterygomaxillary fissure, which carries some nerves. This much clue is enough? Yes, foramen rotundum. So I can't say your name. It is, can you type your name as well? Salam Prin, please. Yeah, just keep your names, okay, so that it is easier for me to communicate or message. Okay, so yeah, Apple's iPhone also. Hope your name is not Apple. So keep your names. Jairaj, yeah, Jairaj, very good. So it is a foramen which opens anteriorly. That's why they have not shown it like this. They have not shown it like this. Okay, they're not shown the opening because it opens anteriorly. So through foramen rotundum, which nerve goes out? Which cranial nerve? Just say the number of the nerve. Yeah, number of the nerve. Trigeminal nerve, which is the fifth cranial nerve. Okay, only the maxillary branch goes out through it. Yes, fifth cranial nerve. So now you have a. Now I'll give you a big clue. Very easy for everyone to find out. I have a foramen. Okay, this oval-shaped foramen. Can you say the name? I cannot give you more clues. Yes, foramen ovale. So what passes through foramen ovale? Which nerve or which branch of trigeminal nerve passes? Apple's iPhone. No maxillary nerve. Maxillary nerve already passed out. Yeah, through foramen rotundum. Now it is mandibular. Okay. So it is, yes, it is mandibular nerve. Okay. So Apple's iPhone, I suggest you to rename your name. Okay. So that is there. And now you have a small foramen. I'll give you one more clue for this foramen. Near the spine of sphenoid. One small foramen near the spine of sphenoid. So can you say foramen spinosum? So now what all things we did? We learned superior orbital fissure, your superior orbital fissure, your foramen rotundum, your foramen ovale, and foramen spinosum. Now, there is a small canal here. If you can see, there's a small canal here. Okay, which goes into the orbit. Okay, so can you name, or I'll tell you the name? It is optic canal. Okay, optic canal carries some nerves to the eyeballs. So that is located here. If you can spot, slightly they have shadowed it out. Okay, so those are the structures in middle cranial fossa, or those are structures in sphenoid bone. So you have superior orbital fissure, you have optic canal, you have the foramen rotundum, foramen ovale, foramen spinosum. So let us talk about some of the questions which they have asked. They have even asked which among the following foramen is anteriorly placed, which among the following foramen is posteriorly placed. Okay, I'm quickly going through this foramen because I want to talk more about cranial nerves. Okay, so foramen lacerum is another foramen which is formed by the meeting point of your occipital bone, sphenoid bone, and your temporal bone. Okay, this is foramen lacerum. Okay, so now let's talk about cranial nerves again. Okay, cranial nerve 1 was olfactory. Olfactory, you all know, it comes down to the nose or nasal cavity through cribriform plate. Multiple small, it's like this small nerve endings come out. And recently, have you heard of some disease which is going to affect this particular nerve? Recent disease, very modern disease. It is going to affect this fibers. Have you heard of? Yeah, COVID. Yes. So COVID is going to affect this. Why? Because the virus is going to go straight and it is going to affect your. No, black fungus is different. No. It is, COVID, mucormycosis is going to affect everything. Not mucormycosis. I'm telling COVID has a problem with sensory perception of smell. Okay, so it is going to effectively, it's going to affect the olfactory bulbs. Okay, so leave that. Now come to the second cranial nerve. Which is second cranial nerve? 1 is smell. 2 is what? Second cranial nerve. Second cranial nerve is optic nerve. So optic nerve, now without any clue, whatever I told you, can you tell me through which canal or which foramen or which fissure it's going to come out? Optic. People who have followed me, through which? Yes, optic canal. It comes out through optic canal. It goes through the optic canal into the eyeball. Okay, that is a nerve which is a sensory nerve which is going to carry the vision or the sensory vision or the sensory perception of vision back to the brain. Okay, so that is optic nerve. Now what is the third cranial nerve? Third cranial nerve is oculomotor. Oculomotor, as the name says, it has to do something with the eyeball and it says motor. So it is essentially the nerve which is going to be the motor supply to the muscles of eyeball. So oculomotor, third cranial nerve, goes out through superior orbital fissure. Clear? You want me to go back? I'll just go back. Yeah. See, first one is olfactory. Second one is optic. Third one is oculomotor. Clear? Okay. So 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. I hope you remember 1, 2, and 3. So this much all of you know, isn't it? So let's go to the whiteboard again. So now what all things did we study? Cribriform plate of ethmoid, cranial nerve 1, isn't it? Optic canal, cranial nerve 2, isn't it? Superior orbital fissure, cranial nerve number 3. Okay. isn't it? Now, which was the cranial nerve number 4? Cranial nerve number 4 is trochlear. Okay, that also passes through this. Next is cranial number 5. Cranial nerve number 5 has 3 branches: ophthalmic, maxillary, and mandibular. Maxillary, rotundum, mandibular, ovale. We discussed about that. The first branch is ophthalmic division. Ophthalmic division again goes through superior orbital fissure. So we can say it as V1, the first division of your trigeminal nerve. Okay. And what about the 6th cranial nerve? Which is the 6th cranial nerve? Can you tell me? Any of your 6th cranial nerve? 6th also goes, yes, abducens. So 6th also goes out through the superior orbital fissure. I'll come to this, and I'll just add 2 more foramens in this. So foramen rotundum is V2. Foramen ovale is V3. So what is V3, or 5? The 3rd division of 5th cranial nerve. Okay. So with this we covered through which all foramens the cranial nerves are going to exit. Okay. So only thing is, for the trigeminal nerve, there are 3 areas. The ophthalmic division comes out through superior orbital fissure. Rotundum, the 2nd division, that is the maxillary, comes out through the foramen rotundum. The 3rd division comes out through the foramen ovale. Clear with it? Okay. So now along with that, we also studied the names. Okay. So I don't want you to spend 1 day to study the cranial nerves names. I don't want you to spend another day to study which foramen is going to go out. Okay. So we will do everything simultaneously. We don't have time. Okay. We will do everything simultaneously. So we will brief it again. So you have ethmoid. So you can try to recollect it along with me. Okay. I'll go slow. You try to recollect the answer within your mind. So you have, I will show the structure, and you can recollect which all nerves go through this. So cribriform plate of ethmoid. Olfactory, that is the first cranial nerve. Optic canal, 2nd cranial nerve. Optic nerve, that is, okay. Superior orbital fissure, 3rd oculomotor, 4th trochlear, 6th abducens. All these 3 are going to supply muscles of eyeball. 3, 4, 6. So when it has to supply the muscles of eyeball, it has to go into the orbital region. Simple. So it will go through some place where there is a gap towards the orbital area. So superior orbital fissure is a big gap. It goes through that. Okay. Finish. Now 5th cranial nerve, 3 parts. One is the ophthalmic division, which goes to superior orbital fissure. 2nd is the maxillary through foramen rotundum. 3rd is ovale, foramen ovale. Okay. The 3rd is mandibular, which goes through foramen ovale. So next was, so this is 5 and 6. We have completed till 6. Now we will move to the posterior cranial fossa, isn't it? So 7 and 8 through internal acoustic meatus, 9, 10, 11 through jugular foramen. Part of 11 goes through the foramen magnum, and 12th one is the easiest of these. Just like optic, same name, same canal. Okay, hypoglossal canal. Clear? Now, did you realize one thing? They started naming from anterior to posterior. Got it? So anterior most one is the first cranial nerve. Next is 3rd. Sorry, 2nd. Next is 3rd, 4th, then 5th. The ophthalmic division goes here, 5th, and 6th here. Then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's how they named also. Clear? Okay, very good. So names and the foramen through which it goes out. Okay, so this is the names again. I hope it's clear for you by now. Now certain questions they do ask, which among the following is a pure sensory nerve? That's kind of questions which come. So which is the pure sensory? Olfactory, nothing else, just for sake of smelling, you have that nerve. It doesn't have any other function. Pure sensory means pure sensory. It takes fully sensory perception. No other kind of fibers are there. Okay, olfactory is there, optic is there, vestibulocochlear is there. So smell, sight, hearing. Clear? So this statue, you remember? Instead of closing mouth, tell the monkey to close his nose. Everything is covered. So monkey will close the nose. So olfactory, close the eyes, optic, close the ears, vestibulocochlear. Clear? Pure sensory. Yeah, you want an easier one? This is easy enough now. So next is pure motor. So what you understand by motor, okay? So I am flexing my muscles, okay? I am flexing my muscles. I am flexing my fingers. So this happens because of motor supply or motor. My brain tells my fingers or the muscles in my wrist to move my fingers, okay? My wrist muscles are moving and my forearm muscles are moving and my fingers are moving. This is carried forward by motor supply. Okay. So did somebody message me? I can't find my chat box. Once again. I think hope everything is clear. Sound, this thing, some message notification came. I can't find my chat box here. Okay, leave it. So pure motor just means that those nerves carry sensation or can carry signals to muscles. Okay, to muscles. They don't have any other job. No, like job like taking taking some sensation back to the brain. No, it is not done. It takes only signals from the brain to the muscles. So and it tells the muscles to move. Clear? That is pure motor. Okay. Now we are talking about cranial nerves, and we will see which is the pure motor. Oculomotor. Can you tell me the function of oculomotor now? Can you just type? Function of oculomotor nerve. Just simply you say which muscle it's going to supply. I told you already. Just simply say, I want you guys to involve, or else some of you will be sleeping now. Are you sleeping? People without camera. Is it Sandeep? So yeah. So a pure motor just means that it is going to supply some muscles. So oculomotor is a pure motor nerve which is going to supply the muscles of eyeball, okay, with the help of which I am moving my eyes, okay. So it doesn't do anything else. It doesn't carry any signal back and all. It doesn't do anything else. It supplies only the muscles. Then trochlear, again, it is going to supply the muscles of eyeball. Again, muscles of eyeball. Hypoglossal. Hypo means below. Glossal means what? Glossal means it is related to tongue. So hypoglossal means it is a nerve which is just below the tongue. Okay, by the literal meaning, it means that, and it is a nerve which is going to supply your tongue. So with which I am speaking. Okay, with the help of that nerve, I'm able to move my tongue and speak. Okay, so pure motor or oculomotor, that is third cranial nerve, trochlear, that is fourth cranial nerve, epicenter, that is sixth cranial nerve, and hypoglossal, that is 12th cranial nerve. So don't break your head. It is very simple to remember this. So hope all of you have seen an auto rickshaw. Have you seen this? Guys, with the video, can you say thumbs up, or if no means just wave your head no. You have seen an auto rickshaw. How many tires does an auto have? Tires with which it runs. No, don't talk about the extra stepney tires and all. 3 tires. What is this? It's a car. Car has 4 tires. Okay. Now, what is this? Bus. Bus has 6 tires. Okay, there is an extra tire in the back wheel. There are 2 tires in one side. So 4 in the back, 2 in the front, 6 tires. So oculomotor 3, trochlear 4, abducent 6. Okay. So where do you go to learn driving? Where do you go to learn driving? Do you go to a motor driving school? You go to a motor driving school, isn't it? So remember like that. No? So motor is car, bus, or car, auto, car, and bus. Okay. So don't see, all these things are to make things easier for you. Okay. Don't by heart this, and on the day of exam, you will think whether there was a bike, whether there was a train. So don't confuse yourself. And along with that, just remember 12 hypoglossal. Okay. So 12 hypoglossal, you remember like that. Okay. So this rest 3 is this. Easiest way is, when you study, when you go further, when you study, you will understand that oculomotor, trochlear, and abducent are nerves which supply the eyeball. So easiest way is to remember nerves which supply eyeball, supply tongue. Okay, you can remember like that. Okay, but tongue has an extra muscle which is not supplied by hypoglossal. So for time being, this is the easiest method. As and when you progress, you study more, you will get an idea of your own. Okay. So rest all is mixed. Simple. Rest all is mixed. Okay. Some mixed functions it has. Okay. So study pure sensory and pure motor. Rest all is mixed. Okay. Now coming to the embryological origin of these nerves. So this is very important. At least the first 3 arches. So you remember something called as pharyngeal arches. Do you remember? So development of head and neck or face, there are certain arches which come from both sides and which unite, and we call it as first arch, second arch, third arch, fourth arch. Okay. When each arch comes, there are a certain artery which goes along with it, a certain cartilage component which goes along with it, a certain nerve, and a set of muscles. Now, why this is important is whenever a question comes about this particular muscle is supplied by which nerve, what tends to happen is when you see the question, you will feel that, oh, I need to study these muscles. I need to study individual muscles separately. No, it is very simple. I'll just tell you. Just go to the whiteboard. So we are done with this canals and all those things. Now we will talk about muscles. Okay. So what muscles are we going to talk about? We will talk about the muscles of first arch. Okay. First arch is supplied by the mandibular nerve. So it is also called as mandibular arch. So mandibular nerve is a division of third division of your trigeminal nerve. So, Boron Rana, don't think beyond fourth or third arch. Okay, first, second, third is important. Rest we will discuss on the go. Okay, that is actually I'll tell you if you want. I'll just tell that. Since you have asked, I'll just tell that and we'll come back. Okay. So coming to embryology, there is actually 6 arches: first, second, third, fourth arch. Okay, I'll just show corresponding area in the face. So this area from your ear to this mandibular area, this area comes from the first arch. Part of your hyoid bone and some area here comes from the second, third, fourth, like that. Till 6th, the area above the head and neck is formed from these arches. The 5th arch forms and it immediately disappears. So we don't have any derivative from the 5th arch. That's why after 4th, it is 6th arch. Okay. Leaves 4th and 6th arch. Why? It talks about the nerves and regions in this region or in your throat. Okay. We will discuss it later when we are talking about nasal or larynx and all. Okay. So at present, we will talk about mandibular, facial, and glossopharyngeal. Okay. The first 3 arches. Okay. So now we will move to the whiteboard again. So, excuse me. Yes, so we were talking about mandibular arch, and now I want to tell you about something about muscles. Okay, muscles of each arch. Now, why is it important? So, if you don't know this, what will happen is you will end up studying every individual muscle and every individual muscle's nerves. If you study like that, the maximum probability is that you will end up answering wrong. Why? When you have a group of muscles which is supplied by a particular nerve, it is always best and better you study the group together so that you will always remember. So muscles of each arch, I will talk about the mandibular arch now. So mandibular arch or the first arch is supplied by the mandibular nerve, isn't it? So the muscles include muscles of mastication. So what is muscles of mastication? There are 4 muscles of mastication. 1 opens the mouth, 3 closes the mouth. 1 opening the mouth is lateral pterygoid. 3 closing the mouth is medial pterygoid, masseter and temporalis. Okay. So you have 4 muscles, out of which 1 is closing the mouth. Sorry, 1 is opening the mouth. That is your lateral pterygoid. 3 are closing the mouth, which is masseter, medial pterygoid and temporalis. So all these are supplied by mandibular nerve. Very simple. So any random question, you don't have to by heart the questions. You already got answer for 5 questions actually, 5 or 6 questions. One is which among the following muscles is going to open the mouth? Lateral pterygoid. That also I just said. So they will also ask you about the individual innervation. Okay, so that is covered. Then there is a muscle known as mylohyoid, which is supplied by mandibular arch. So these are the muscles which are supplied by mandibular arch or mandibular nerve, or this is a muscle which are derived from mandibular arch. So whenever they talk about these muscles, it is always linked to this particular nerve. Okay, so that way you can link and study the muscles and its the nerves. So second arch is facial arch. Just quickly go to facial arch. Second is facial arch, which is the muscle, the nerve is facial nerve and muscles of facial expression, including your buccinator, your platysma. All these are supplied by your facial nerve. And rest of the muscles like your stapedius and your muscles like stylohyoid, posterior belly of digastric. All these are supplied by the facial nerve. So this way you can correlate with the nerve of arches and the cranial nerve. So point I'm trying to convey is studying individual questions will make you do a lot more work than studying like this. Okay, a lot more work, because you will keep on by hearting every day. Stylohyoid, facial nerve, stylohyoid, facial nerve, tensor velae palatini, mandibular nerve. Instead, remember it like a set or a group. Okay, so that it is easier for you to recollect. Okay, so we'll just go back to this. Okay, now trigeminal nerve, we already saw that it is divided into 3 parts. It is coming out through 3 different areas. So it is supposed to be the largest cranial nerve. So I just talk about trigeminal and facial today. Okay, I just talk about trigeminal and facial, very superficial, and we will see a few questions before we end the session. Okay, so largest cranial nerve, there is a cave which is known as Meckel's cave or Meckel's cavity, where the trigeminal ganglion is there. And yeah, it is supposed to be located somewhere here in the middle cranial fossa, and it divides into V1, V2, V3. Okay, and it is basically more of sensory. Okay, facial supply, I mean the sensory supply of face is more from this. Okay, but this is a mixed nerve, so there are many branches which actually give supplied to the muscles also. So especially the mandibular branch which we saw, muscles of mastication, mylohyoid, anterior belly of digastric, tensor tympani, tensor palatini, all these are supplied by the mandibular nerve. Okay. So the facial part, or the middle one, that is your maxillary part, is having branches similar to your local anesthetic injection techniques of maxilla. Infraorbital is there. Means all those techniques, posterior superior alveolar, infraorbital, MSA, ASA. So you remember those names, those are part of your maxillary nerve. Okay. And ophthalmic, yes, ophthalmic division is also there. So you common one which you remember is superior, or supratrochlear and supraorbital. You will be remembering that back from your scalp chapter. First year anatomy scalp chapter. That is, there is supraorbital, supratrochlear. I am sure that most of you will be remembering that name. Okay. Not much relevant for entrance point of view, ophthalmic, but occasionally they do ask which among the following is not a branch of ophthalmic division. Okay, we'll go to that in detail later. So ophthalmic is pure sensory. Branches are nasociliary, frontal, lacrimal. It leaves the skull, enters orbit through superior orbital fissure. We already studied that. Sensory innervation to the eyeball, upper part of nasal cavity, skin of upper eyelids, forehead, front half of the scalp. I told you supraorbital and supratrochlear. Okay. So this is how they look like. Okay? So there's no need to by heart the pictures, and all it is just for you to get you an idea. Okay. I already told you through which fissure it's going to go to the eyeball region. Okay. So it is superior orbital fissure. Then further, the supraorbital and supratrochlear nerve goes up. Okay. Now coming to maxillary nerve, you all said, or we all studied that it comes out through maxillary, through the foramen rotundum. Okay. So cranial nerves is close to the origin of maxillary nerve in the middle cranial fossa. Smallest branch arises the middle meningeal nerve. Then there are other, see, there's a cranial branch. There is a branch which is given in pterygopalatine fossa. So that are orbital branches, palatine nerves, nasal nerves, pharyngeal nerve, ganglionic branch. So these details, in detail, we will see later. Okay, I'll just give you an overview of it. So orbital, as I said, it has middle superior alveolar nerve, anterior superior alveolar nerve, facial nerves, inferior palpebral. That is the reason why inferior palpebra, inferior eyelid, part of eyelid, is anesthetized when you give an infraorbital block. Why? The nerve goes from the infraorbital to the inferior palpebral. The nasal, the ala of nose also is anesthetized, and superior level, the lip also is anesthetized. So that happens now when you give an infraorbital nerve block. Infraorbital nerve block, because from there the branches are going to the eye, going to the nose, and going to the lip. Okay. So this is a rough anatomy. So we will move to mandibular nerve now. It has a sensory root and a small motor root. There's two roots. Okay. So we are very familiar with the sensory root. Why we are very familiar with the sensory root? The sensory part is the one which we block every time. Inferior alveolar, lingual, and all. Okay. So that is typically from the posterior trunk. Your mandibular nerve is divided into anterior smaller and posterior larger trunk. And in posterior larger trunk, you have the auriculotemporal, which supplies the skin over the ear, and the TMJ. That's a main question. TMJ is supplied by auriculotemporal nerve. Sensory supplied to TMJ and the disc, auriculotemporal. Then to the tongue, okay, tongue to the teeth, inferior alveolar. So that is the branches from posterior trunk. Anterior trunk also we know. Buccal. Buccal is the long buccal which we give injection to extract your second molar, first molar. We give buccal infiltration. That is, or the buccal block which we give just next to the third molar. That branch is from the anterior trunk. That is a sensory branch. But other branches are branches to the muscles of mastication, except medial pterygoid. Why? Because medial pterygoid has a separate branch from the main trunk. So it comes, the main trunk comes. From there, one branch goes back to the meninges. Meninges means into the outer covering of brain. Okay, it goes into the cranial cavity from the main trunk, and one more goes to the medial pterygoid. Okay, then comes the division: the anterior smaller, posterior larger. Posterior larger has the main sensory part. Anterior smaller has the buccal, and it also has the branches to muscles of mastication except for the medial pterygoid. Clear? So this is the picture. This is the common picture from. This is from my textbook, my own textbook, which I studied in my UG days. Okay, so I don't have the habit of underlining or habit of drawing, but if I do something like this, very mild scribbling. Okay, so you have this main trunk here. This is a main trunk. So main trunk, you have the nerve to the medial pterygoid and the nerve which goes up. That is your middle meningeal or to the meninges. Okay. Then after the main trunk, you have an anterior smaller division. So this is your anterior smaller division. Okay. For representation purpose, they have separated all this. It should ideally come like this. Anterior smaller division, the buccal branch should come like this. Okay. For ease of representation, they have divided it like this. Okay. So anterior branch is there, posterior branch, you have the lingual, you have the auriculotemporal, and you have the inferior alveolar. Okay. Again, showing the various pictures of same nerves. Much clearer view of it. So let's see some questions. So few questions, 4 or 5 questions, and I'll end the session. Maxillary nerve innervates all of the following except. So when you go through the options, okay. So when you go through the options, there will be an option which is very striking, which I have expressed it out. Just find out that option, which is that option, and tell me. Don't tell me which is the answer. Just tell me which nerve supplies that particular structure. I specifically told it now. Few moments back, I just specifically told that. Yes. Auriculotemporal. Many of you have got it. So yeah. Many of you have got it. Auriculotemporal. So auriculotemporal is going to supply TMJ. Why I specifically told that is it's a very common question. Okay, disc of TMJ is supplied by what? Supply has two things. Either it is an arterial supply they are talking about, or it is a nerve supply. When they just say supply and the options are of a nerve, you should understand they are talking about nerve supply. When they just say supply and the options are of an artery, you should know which. I mean, from the options, if it is artery, you should know that they are asking for the artery. Okay. So maxillary nerve innervates all of the following except the TMJ. Okay. All are true of mandibular nerve except all are true of mandibular. Read each and every option. Okay. Sensory branch arises from anterior trunk. Okay. Mandibular nerve, which is the sensory branch? Which are the sensory branch? Come on, we will go option by option. Which are the sensory branches? Yeah, buccal is there. Which are the other sensory branches? What about inferior alveolar? Is it a sensory branch? Lingual, is it a sensory branch? Yeah. So recollect all the things. Move to the next option. Muscles of mastication are innervated by branches of main trunk. Which are the branches of main trunk? So I'll just come to first option. Sensory branch arises from anterior trunk. Yes, it is correct. Buccal is arising from anterior trunk. There is a sensory branch from anterior trunk. Second option, muscles of mastications are innervated by which branch? Or the branches from which part? Muscles of mastication. Don't you remember? Muscles of mastication are supplied by which? Yeah, it is everything we are talking about is mandibular. Everything we are talking about is mandibular. In mandibular, which one? Okay, I think my questions and your answering are being confused. I will tell you something. Firstly, I had asked about which are the branches of main trunk. Now answer me that. Which are the branches of main trunk? So it is divided into three parts. Main trunk, anterior division, posterior division. Tell me which are the branches from main trunk. Nervous spinosus, very good. It goes to the meninges. Yes. Second one. Yes, Afrin, others. Nerve to medial trunk. Very good. Afrin has said both. So in from main trunk, there is only two nerves. That is, one is the nerve to meninges. Second is the nerve to medial pterygoid. So what about other things? Mylohyoid is a branch of posterior trunk. Mylohyoid is a branch of posterior trunk. It is not related to the muscles of mastication. Hemant, okay. I will tell you what are we discussing. I am asking you people, which is the branch of mandibular nerve. Mandibular nerve has three branches. Just brief it for you people, okay? So just brief it for you so that it is easier for you. So we are talking about mandibular nerve, isn't it? So first is it comes down. The mandibular nerve comes down, and now there is a main trunk. It comes down through which foramen? That much you should be knowing. Main trunk. This is the spelling I believe. Yeah. So it comes down now. Yeah, it comes from the foramen ovale. Very good. Now there is a main trunk, and from the main trunk there are two branches coming out. So first branch is nervus spinosum. Second branch is nerve to medial pterygoid. Clear? Now what happens? The main trunk, it is like a tree. Imagine it's like a tree. A huge trunk, now it divides into branches. The tree divides into branches. Similarly, this comes down and divides into two branches. Which are the two branches? The main trunk is further, or the nerve further divides into an anterior division or anterior trunk, you can say. Yes. So anterior division, posterior division. In anterior division, again, it has a sensory branch, which is buccal. Then branches to masseter, branches to temporalis, branches to lateral pterygoid. Okay, these are all motor supply to these particular muscles. Okay, so that is from the main trunk, from the anterior division. Now, the last part is the posterior division, posterior larger part. So, posterior division has the IAN, inferior alveolar nerve, the lingual, and you have the mylohyoid. Okay. Inferior alveolar nerve again divides into mental here and incisive inside into the teeth. Okay. So this is the mandibular nerve division. I hope all of you are clear with it. Now we will just go back to that question. Just see the second option. Muscles of mastication are innervated by branches of main trunk. No. Main trunk supplies only the medial pterygoid. So that is the option C. C option is medial pterygoid is from main trunk. Yes, it is correct. Buccal nerve does not innervate buccinator muscle. We are talking now about mandibular nerve. There is a different buccal nerve. There is a different buccal nerve which is part of a facial nerve. Facial nerve branch, that is a different buccal nerve. Okay. So here when we are talking in context with the mandibular nerve, this point is correct. Buccal nerve doesn't innervate buccinator muscle because buccal nerve branch of mandibular nerve is a sensory nerve. Buccal nerve branch of facial nerve is a motor nerve. So whenever you're studying, you say long buccal, and steady. Mandibular nerve branch, long buccal. The other one you can call it as buccal. Okay? So you might end up confusing yourself because there are two things with two different nerves with same name. Okay. Now injury to motor division of mandibular nerve will cause paralysis of all of the following except. Okay. So this is a question again from the embryology part which I told you. Will all among the following, which among the following muscle is not supplied by mandibular nerve? Just look at that. All among the following is supplied by mandibular nerve except one. Yes, Grency is right. Hemant is right. Monica is right. It is buccinator. Why? Buccinator is supplied. It's a muscle of facial expression. This is buccinator's action. Blowing or pursing the mouth. Okay. That is buccinator and that is by facial nerve. So that is from the second arch. Okay. Remember embryology second arch. Okay. So guys, I will just take 5-10 minutes and I'll finish facial nerve. Is that fine? Okay. Excuse me. So, yeah, I got a bit bad cold. So, facial nerve, we just saw that. Excuse me. Facial nerve, we just saw that it comes out from the brain and enters in the internal acoustic meatus. Now it is somewhere within the the temporal bone. Okay. Finally, it comes out from the temporal bone through stylomastoid foramen. So there is a stylomastoid foramen here and it comes out. So from cranium, it enters the temporal bone. Through temporal bone, it travels and comes out through a stylomastoid foramen. Okay. And we need to know the facial nerve branches. Now, within the facial canal, as it exits the stylomastoid foramen and terminal branch. So, within the facial canal, as I said, it enters the internal acoustic meatus. Now, it is within the facial canal. Okay. There is a canal through which it is going to pass, and then finally, it is going to come out through the stylomastoid foramen. So, in that particular area, it gives 3 branches. One is greater petrosal, next is nerve to stapedius, then third is chorda tympani. Chorda tympani, it carries the taste fibers. You would have studied it, carried the taste fibers along with the lingual. It joins the lingual nerve and goes to the tongue. Nerve to stapedius, I said when I was talking about the embryological origin, I said that facial nerve is from second arch. I also said that it supplies the stapedius muscle. Muscle of facial expression, stapedius muscle is supplied by the facial nerve. Okay. We'll come to the details later, but now you know that within canal there are 3 branches: greater petrosal, stapedius, chorda tympani. Now it comes out. It comes out, and this region where I've kept, you can also feel. You can feel your mastoid area just behind your ear. You can feel the mastoid bone, isn't it? Just front of mastoid, you have the. See, suppose if this is the mastoid, you have a styloid process in front. So somewhere between that, you have the stylomastoid foramen which comes out. So stylomastoid foramen, as soon as this exits the foramen, it is going to give branches for 3 muscles. Posterior auricular is going to supply the muscles of, there are auricularis muscle, which is actually a vestigial organ. You cannot actually move the ears like that of your dog or, some other mammals. You cannot move it, but there is supposed to be a muscle here. Few people can try to move your ears. There is a posterior auricularis muscle here. So it is supplied by facial nerve. Then there is digastric. There is an anterior belly of digastric which runs like this and posterior belly of digastric which runs like this. So the posterior belly of digastric is supplied by the facial nerve. So that branch is known as digastric branch. And then there is stylohyoid muscle, a muscle which runs from the styloid process of the hyoid bone. Okay, there are 3 muscles or 3 branches which are particularly supplying the muscles, that is posterior auricular, digastric and stylohyoid. Good enough? So you learned about within facial canal, exiting the stylomastoid foramen. Last one is just anyone will know that terminal branches. You would remember your anatomy sir or madam keeping the hands like this and telling this is the facial nerve branches: temporal, zygomatic, buccal, mandibular, and one more finger which can go into the cervical. Like I can keep like this, yeah, cervical. So you have the ones to the temporal, zygomatic, buccal, upper and lower buccal, marginal mandibular, and cervical branch. Those are the branches which are there on the face. Okay, that's all about the branches of facial nerve. Very simple. Okay, now just see the picture. Now this is the internal auditory meatus. So can you tell me which other nerve goes through the internal auditory meatus? Other nerve along with this. One more nerve. You remember that or you forgot? Yes, vestibular cochlear. Very good. So this is that same internal acoustic meatus or auditory meatus which you saw in that picture, posterior cranial fossa. And now before going to the picture, identify that three nerves which I taught you. Greater petrosal, your chorda tympani, nerve 2, stapedius. Identify that in that picture. So this is the canal. From here till here is the canal. Okay, rest all you don't bother. You just identify the three nerves which I told you. Greater petrosal. Do you identify greater petrosal? Yes or no? Greater petrosal is here. See, I just told you to identify. Don't look at where it is going. Don't look at what is its purpose. Just identify it. Okay. Greater petrosal, nerve to stapedius, then chorda tympani. So all three has been identified. Clear? Now what was the next branch? The branching just outside the stylomastoid foramen. Three muscles: posterior auricular, digastric, stylohyoid. So come to this. This is stylomastoid foramen, posterior auricular, posterior belly of digastric branch to stylohyoid, and finally the terminal branches. That's all I want you to learn from this picture. Nothing more. Okay. You just learn which are the branches. Okay. Whichever thing I told you in this, you just identify that in that picture. So why I tell you to look that or look in the picture is it gives you an idea. It gives you a three-dimensional idea, or it gives you a template of where this exactly is located. Okay, or some basic idea you will be getting. Okay, so identify it. Now we will move on. Yeah. One or two questions more and I'll end the session. Mandibular nerve supplies. So without looking the options, which were the muscles which I told you? Muscles of mastication. So it is MMTTA. M for muscles of mastication. M for mylohyoid. T for tensor veli palatini. T for tensor tympani. A for anterior belly of digastric. This is how I remember it. Okay, believe me, I don't need to prepare and come for this particular topic because the way we are going to make a pattern to remember, this will help you throughout. Okay, so MMTTA. Okay, so look for that particular option. So what about option A, anterior belly of digastric? Yes, it is supplied by mandibular nerve. Mylohyoid, it is supplied by mandibular nerve. Tensor tympani, tensor palatini. Yes. So the first option should be right. Now let us look at the second option. Posterior belly of digastric. Who supplies posterior belly of digastric? It is supplied by the facial nerve. Mylohyoid by the mandibular nerve. Yes, partially this option is correct, but we want a perfect answer. Okay. Stapes, malleus, and incus are not muscles. Those are middle ear ossicles, bones. Okay. Anterior belly of digastric. Yes, supplied by facial nerve, but stapes or stapedius is supplied by. It is supplied by your facial nerve. So anterior belly is by the mandibular nerves. Stapes is by the facial nerve. So here the answer will be, the correct answer will be option. All of you, option which one? A, isn't it? Got it? Hemant, Tirtha. Hope you guys are listening. Okay. And yeah, Jairaj. So So that's some slides which I have. So facial nerve, mandibular nerve, the embryology part, everything is slightly related. Okay, so I just wanted to convey those things in today's session. And we have talked about various cranial nerves, where it is going to exit, and regarding the pure sensory, pure motor and all. Now I'll teach you one more thing and we will stop. Just one more thing. Okay. Anterior brain, or it is called as forebrain. The first cranial nerve and second cranial nerve arise from the anterior brain. Midbrain, maxillary is purely sensory. Afrin has asked, maxillary purely sensory or mixed? Maxillary is purely sensory, yes. Okay. So midbrain is 3, 4. Don't worry, they are not going to ask those things. They are not going to ask those things. There is a pattern they always follow. Okay. They don't ask questions which you think is very important. They ask questions which has already been asked and the type of topics which has been already covered, because that's the way they are thinking. The examiners are thinking. Okay. When we are actually reading textbooks or reading synopsis, we think that every point will come as question. No. Examiners have a different pattern. So that's why we always suggest you people to read questions first, go to synopsis then. Or else what happens is you study a lot of theory, but when you come to solving the questions, you're very bad at it. Okay. I want you all to learn to solve questions first and then read theory after solving questions. That will help you to understand, okay, this kind of questions can be asked from this. Not how I am thinking. The examiners have a different way of thinking. So that way you have to concentrate more on questions. Okay. So a basic theory like what I'm taking now will help you solve a lot of questions. So I'll come to this again. Anterior brain, midbrain, then pons. Part of pons is 5, 6, 7, 8. Medulla. 9, 10, 11, 12. So anterior brain, midbrain, pons, medulla. So from anterior brain, 1 and 2 cranial nerves are originating. Midbrain, 3 and 4 is originating. Pons, 5, 6, 7, 8. Medulla, 9, 10, 11, 12. So how do you remember this? So I tell people to remember AM by PM. Okay. So AM by PM. So you say time as AM and PM. So similarly, you can remember as AM, PM. A stands for anterior brain, M stands for midbrain, P stands for pons, and M stands for medulla. Clear? Now for AM, for each one, you add 2 cranial nerves. So A, 1, 2, M, 3, 4. Okay. So AM, each A and M, each letter carries 2 cranial nerves. Right? PM, each letter carries 4 cranial nerves. Very easy. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12. So AM, PM will help you remember which cranial nerve is going to come out through which cranial nerve is going to originate from which part of the brain. So this is very relevant. Why? Because when they ask you 8, you don't suddenly know whether it's from medulla or from pons. So write down AM, PM. Write down AM, A stands for 1, 2, M stands for 3, 4, P and M stands for 4, 4 cranial nerves. Okay. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Clear? Okay, such simple things are going to help you during the exam. Okay. And I will end this session telling you people that for entrance, don't try to improve your knowledge. It is not an exam where your knowledge is measured. It is an exam which is going to measure how consistent you were throughout, how good you are to recollect your whatever you have learned, and how good you are to tackle the MCQs. That's all. I have seen people who are very dumb who have scored excellent. And people, if you are good at studies, if you get this kind of ideas, it is easy for you people to crack. Okay. And this what I teach in anatomy is more comprehensive. I don't cover short topics. I try to give an overview of everything, so that when you go for questions or when you try solving questions, you can remember what I taught you. Okay. So that's all for the day. Do well, and we will be seeing you soon with more of this stuff, which is very relevant for your exams. Okay. So I hope you won't forget, and no need for funny mnemonics to remember the cranial nerves. Okay. Remember that picture of cranial cavity. Remember that picture of cranial cavity. And there is a lot more things which I've told you than cranial nerves. Remember the foramens, remember the bones, because when you come to cranial cavity, it is easier for you to understand that topic also. Okay. So that's all from my side. Thank you all and have a great sleep. Sleep well, take rest. Good night.